Pranam Acharya Ji. Actually, this is not a question, but this is a state of mind. Since my last attending the Shiva in Rishikesh, it was so nice, and I could realize so many things also. But once I went back to my old life, I developed a kind of resistance towards this. Resistance in the sense, when this Shiva was announced, I felt like not coming. Last time I was running after the doctor. This time the doctor was here, he's going to be here, but I felt a kind of resistance not to see the doctor. Today afternoon, the whole day I was fighting with myself to attend the Shivir. What I think is coming here and going back to the same life and indulging in the hellish happiness and coming over here again. I am making a mockery of this. I am not courageous enough to take the plunge, and I am not ready to pay the price also. Then why this mockery? I am doing this. So this is the state of mind I am having, and I want to overcome this also, please.
I appreciate. See, you said mockery, one is making a mockery of the whole thing, the whole arrangement, by coming here and then not being able to change one's life or implement things, as they say. So you see the gains from the whole thing. There is no limit to the gains that one can have from such a setting, such an arrangement, such a confluence. No upper limit is there. And that's the great thing about it. On the upper side, one's entire life, its very center can change potentially. But that rarely happens. So let's talk about the lower side. The lower side is that no change at all may happen after 3 such days or 6 such days or 9 such days, depending on the number of camps you have attended. And that's what mocks us in the face, right? That's what I referred to as a humiliation. To be here, to sit here, to spend oneself, to spend resources, and then get nothing from it all. So what do we do then? Let's apply our minds. Let's say whatsoever we get on the upper side is great, it's a bonus. It's the lower side we have to guard against, right? When you're talking of the truth is infinite. So therefore the gains can be infinite. That's the possibility, potentiality on that side, upper side. No point even talking of that if that kind of a thing is happening. No point even measuring that, because infinities are not to be measured. Our concern is on the lower side. So let's talk about that. Let's at least walk away with so much gain that would enable us to ward off an inner humiliation. Let's call it some kind of a humiliation threshold. Let's say, how much minimum gain do I need to have from this to honestly tell myself that my time and my effort has not been a waste? And ensure just that much. Beyond that, if you get anything, take it as a bonus. Our emphasis must therefore be to get at least that little amount that will help us stay internally afloat. That thing we commonly call as conscience or something. We don't want to be sinking to our depths in that inner pool of conscience, right? So one looks at the mirror and says, what the hell? 4 cams till now? And no improvement at all. No. That's what we need to avoid. And for that, we really do not need to ensure a colossal change. We only need to guarantee ourselves a little bit of change. That humiliation threshold. So this is where we stand. That's the infinite potentiality. And how much would be an acceptable return on my time? Well, this much. This much, right? So let's strive to reach just here. Let's forget all that. All that, if it comes, would be grace. It would be a bonus, as it always anyway is. The mistake that we often make is that we shoot for the stars. We aim for the infinite. And we fall flat on face. And when we get up after 3 days, how much altitude have we gained? Perfectly zero. Therefore, I want our questions, our discussions to be very, very practical. So that we rule out the possibility of getting zero benefit from this. And the funny part is, we have to be grateful for that. Once you, through your own effort, ensure this much of elevation, then you set the ball rolling internally in such a way that strange, unprecedented things start happening internally. Certain inner processes get activated that you might have never consciously thought of or known. But all that happens only after you hit a certain threshold, and that threshold you can hit only through your conscious effort. Once you hit that threshold, then a lot of things just start happening. In life, in mind, processes beyond our ken get activated. And then it's unstoppable. And then there is no looking back of any kind. And obviously then there is no space, no scope for any kind of humiliation or remorse. Are you getting it? So don't aim too high. It's a thing of the ego, isn't it? To assume that the truth or the infinity or an absolute kind of change in life is very easily achievable. No? Isn't it just vanity? You'll have to respond.
Yes, yes.
Are you able to make sense of the framework I'm pointing at?
Yes.
Don't aim too high, please. Huh? There is a building. If you want to demolish all of it, you'll find yourself too feeble for the task. It's not possible. Instead, we want to locate the pillars, the beams that are the most vulnerable and work just on them. Right? And if we can hit the hammer and strike our blows at just the few right places, then anything can happen. But if you take your hammer and start hitting haphazardly here and there with the great but impractical expectation that you'll be able to bring the entire structure very quickly down, it's not going to happen. You'll be just tired, frustrated, and probably angry. Can you imagine what can happen if one significant pillar can be brought down? Can you imagine? Can you see what kind of processes can be activated through that? It will set in motion a series of events, all interrelated, that may actually bring the entire building down, even without you consciously knowing how the whole thing collapsed. And that, only that, is our hope. Otherwise, it's 3 versus 362. We are hopelessly outnumbered. Are you getting it? Think of an avalanche. Think of landslides. Think of the snowballing effect. Start something small and let it roll. And you do not know what might happen then. But do start something small. And that small thing I'm calling as the humiliation threshold. Just do that much. Do that much and ensure that what you have done remains protected. Guard it. Cling to it like dear life. Hold it to your chest like a baby. Say that little, something, one little thing. And that one little thing will have the power to bring tremendous changes in life. Are you getting it?
Yes.
I have been more than a decade into this, and it has started hurting that how much could have been achieved and how little has been realized. I look at people, I remember the faces, I remember the potential, and then I look at the reality. It's not pretty. I don't want the same story to be repeated once again. So do something small, right? But let it be concrete. And whatsoever you take away from here, whatsoever you resolve to do, or whatsoever you understand, stick to it. We said protect it. Don't let it just dissipate. Otherwise, seriously, you will fall in your own eyes. You will fall in your own eyes and you will have no option but to discard me. What purpose is served sitting in front of, as she said, a doctor, when there is no discernible improvement in health? How long can you be with a doctor who just sings songs to you? Ultimately, we want change, right? We want betterment. So the algorithm for betterment I have just shared with you. It is exactly the same thing I have implemented all my life on myself. I've always been shy of great targets and great expectations. My key has been to commit myself to something small and then stay committed at all costs. Just one small something. And don't let it run away, die down, or be wasted. All right? And be very cautious against expecting too much. The environment here can deceive you into some kind of spiritual complacency. But the world outside is pitiless and harsh and very, very different from what is going to be discussed here, seen here. The level of consciousness in this small hall and over these 3 days is remarkably different from what you experience in your general life. So if you extrapolate this thing to the other 362 days, you will simply get a rude jolt. And what's more painful is that the more enthusiastic you are, the more harsh is the jolt that you get. So don't be enthusiastic. Know that the enemy is just a little short of Almighty. The enemy is immensely powerful. When the enemy is immensely powerful, you don't just joke around and set trivial expectations, right? You're serious. You very well know what you are up against. We said it's an unequal battle. It's a flow of centuries, please see. That's the way overwhelming majority of the world has always been. It's not that the world has become particularly sinister in this century. Yes, certain things have turned for an extreme worse, but still, what we are trying to challenge is the fate that every single human being over the history of mankind has compulsorily met. Now, how difficult do you think is the mission? Tell me, please. Calling it difficult is an understatement, right? Let's call it impossible. It's literally mission impossible. We are not constructed to be liberated. Is that not your daily experience? Please.
Yes.
We are challenging our fate. You want to be casual about that? Yes?
No.
And there is no mandate to indulge in this kind of a utopian mission. You could be like the rest of the lot and happily spend your weekend in the usual activities. You could do that. And that's not a fall. That's how mankind is biologically, socially supposed to be. How do you call it a fall? But if you are not doing that, if you are here, then please, spirituality is not a kid's toy or something. If you can't be honest to yourself, then be happily dishonest, like most of the world is. Happy and dishonest. And they are 99.999% of the population. Nobody would call you out. When everybody is just like his neighbor, who's there to call anybody out? Nobody would call you out. Do what they do, live like them, be like them, follow their structures, processes, institutions, ways of life. Why care for this abstract thing called the truth? Why care for those obscure documents called the scriptures, the Upanishads? Who reads them anyway? Who needs them anyway? Why care for genuine spirituality? Simply entertain yourself with some mumbo jumbo as the world does. Magical rings, malas, mantras, stories. And tell yourself you are indeed spiritual. No? Why not take the easy way out? Why not be in? Why not belong? Why do you want to stand out? That too like a sore thumb? Why not be a part of the whole movement? It's comfortable. Just flow along. What I absolutely hate is when somebody in his enthusiasm or whatever, ignorance, decides not to be a part of the mainstream and comes over here and is then not up to it. Who asked you to display heroism and bravado and come to the Upanishads and Acharya Prashant? And if you are here now, you better be up to it. Or go back. They are anyway quite unhappy to see you turning renegade. There is no camp in which we don't have people attending camp by lying to their family members. Very few people want you to be here. Hardly anybody likes it when you are here. And those who like it that you are here are themselves here. So it's a very, very small community you see, extremely small community. Just before coming here, I was in the market and somebody asked me, how is it that you are walking about so freely and people are not approaching you? You're supposed to be famous by now. I said, keep your fancies aside. All those who can approach me are at this moment confined to one small little hall. So who's left in Bangalore to come to me? That's the enormity of the challenge, you see. This is all that you have. This is all that we are. First of all, don't overestimate your position, don't underestimate the enemy. And I know I'm talking language that probably appears unspiritual. Yes, I would say enemy, of course, enemy. Without raw determination, it's going to be very, very difficult for you. You see, I'm not addressing any specific question because I've already spoken so much, right? Some of you have been listening to me since half a decade now. hundreds of videos you might have heard. There is really nothing new I have left to say. Instead, I have to address the question that in spite of so much communication, so much work, and so much publication, why isn't there a proportional progress on the ground? So that's what I find important to address at this moment. Do you get this? You'd ask me about relationships. Is there any question on relationships I haven't already spoken on? You'd ask me about this and that and samadhi and mind and mukti, and it bores me. I'm desperate to see real progress. I'm begging, literally, because it's my life at stake. This is the sum total of all my work. I don't want to close my chapter empty-handed. But people just keep coming one after the other and keep saying, oh, it was great for 3 days. But then, I went back to my family and I'm back to my old ways. I want to see at least a few shining examples. I want to see success. I'm tired of hearing sob stories. And there's something I can't give to myself, only you can give to me. Because it's your life. It's on you to succeed. I can succeed as far as my personal endeavor goes, but that success would always be very, very incomplete and meaningless without your success. What would I say? I did so much, spoke for so many hours, wrote so many books. That amounted to nothing. I'm not a professional author, right? I'm not a habitual speaker. All the videos, the books, and everything else, the courses, are there to bring about a change. And if the change is not there, then everything that I have done has... So please don't let that happen. And it's on you to... It has to be an animal-like determination, the way two bulls fight. And that's very strange. I'm talking of higher levels of spirituality, but the only example I can come up with is that of a beast. But that's how I have done it in my life, and that's the only way I know, Beast-like determination. The resolve to fight it out even on the streets if needed. The determination to throw away your respectability, your comforts, everything with a single-minded pursuit of the goal. Fighting as an animal, a lioness fights when you try to take away her cub. Can you imagine? That's the way you have to fight, like a lioness does. Try taking away her cub and see what she does. You have to defend your freedom, your truth, your convictions with that kind of a violent intensity. And if that is too much for you, and therefore I am saying, defend only the cub. Have one small thing to defend. Don't expect too much. If the lioness decides to defend the entire group, the entire pride, some 15 lions, she won't succeed. So she's not too bothered about the rest of them. Just one little baby, she focuses all her attention on. And that's what I advise you to do. Forget everything else. Take one small thing and give everything to it. Succeed in it, and then see what kind of unforeseen gates will open on their own, without your planning, without your expectation. But first of all, show that little bit of success using your own conscious effort. And then you will receive what is spiritually called grace. Grace does not randomly come to you. You have to display your eligibility. And the eligibility criteria isn't too high. But this has been on my mind since long, and especially since the last 1 or 2 days. So I think it's very, very important to share this with you. Even I am not too happy to be in continuous defeats. If I see no change happening on the ground, why will I not be tempted to call it a day? It's strange. We display our vulnerable egos, our vain egos in every little thing in life. But why doesn't the ego get hurt when you let your truth be compromised? Why is that not a disgrace? Please tell me. Somebody comes and takes away a bit of your money or something. You feel hurt, you react, and all those things. But then continuously, every day, they come and they take away our purity, our essence, our freedom. You know what I'm talking about. That which is sacred within us. And then our ego does not get hurt. We take it lying down. Then we don't have it in us to give one back, right on the face, one meaty punch. Dedicate the ego to the right cause. Tolerate all kinds of trivial losses. But be very fierce. Be very angry when someone trespasses on your sacred domain. And first of all, you must know that there is a sacred domain that nobody should step on. That's not something to be tolerated. And it's not a mark of civility or culture or compassion or tolerance. To be a silent spectator to one's own inner rape. Let's have something we can be justly proud of, no? Pride is a great thing, is it not? Provided we know what to be proud of. Instead of being proud of all the silly things, why can't we just be proud of our life? Yeah? The compromises we didn't make, the offers we didn't take. You know, if you read the biographies or autobiographies, there are very few autobiographies. If you read the biographies of truly spiritual people, they were fiercely proud people. Not merely proud, fiercely proud people. Deceptively proud. You'd look at them and you'd say, oh, what a humble man. It's because you do not see his core. All you see is the mannerisms, the behavior. And so you call him humble. But behind that humility is a door of steel, a proud door of steel that opens to nobody but the truth. A proud and resistant door that bows to no one, that listens to no one. If you don't have that steel within, I feel sorry to imagine how you live. I don't want to participate in that kind of a life. Better not to live than to live without that steel. Why do you think many of them, from Socrates to Sarmad, prefer death over selling out? Can you even imagine what kind of fellow he must have been? Unreasonably particular about one particular thing. Completely unreasonably. All that they were asking of him was that you leave the city, go somewhere else, or if you want to live here, don't preach to the young people. He says, no, not done. It's not as if they were his enemies or they were compulsively cruel people. It was quite a cultured state. The center of all culture. So they didn't want to take it upon themselves that they murdered someone as scholarly and esteemed as Socrates. They wanted to give him some kind of reasonable, acceptable exit. Honorable as well. Just don't preach to these young people. You're turning them rebellious. And we'll let you go. No, I want you to get into the man's mind. Please. What is he thinking? Not much is being asked of him. I mean, he could probably have continued to participate in scholarly debates. All that was asked of him, no, do not sit at the crossings as you are fond of doing. Do not collect all the young people and do not put all these discordant thoughts in their mind. Right? And he says, no. No. Can you hear that no? Can you go into that moment when he has that choice and he says no? One such moment and you are made for life. It's a very, very tough moment. I've been through them. But one such moment, and then it becomes progressively easier. When it happens the next time, you find it relatively easier to say no. That moment is extremely heavy. It's like the entire universe is upon you. It's you versus the rest. You find it easy to cave in. No? You'll go from here and again continue the spree of Yes, 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 yes. Yes, men and yes, women. What's the point? And were it possible to have a better life, spiritual growth, whatever, psychological depth, without saying no, I wouldn't have obstinately and unreasonably preached no. It is just not possible to avoid the no and yet grow in life. There is no option. Had there been an option, believe me, why would I want you to unnecessarily take a longer and harsher route? If the thing could be achieved with comfort and ease, I would have said so. But to the maximum I know, it is not possible to progress without no. And that's the reason why I so strongly abhor the version of spirituality that has nothing to do with no. That never asks you to make difficult choices, that leads you into the happy fantasy that you can be liberated without going through suffering. It's a bitter thing, but if it is a thing, let's accept it. To be liberated of suffering, the only route is suffering. Conscious suffering. Conscious suffering. Suffering with discretion. So there are only two routes. Either suffer indiscreetly or suffer consciously. But there is no third route. You cannot happily walk your way into liberation or heaven or whatever your goal is. Is it becoming distasteful? At least a no to something. And once you are into it, you'll feel grateful that you said no that one particular first time. With gratitude, you will look back on that day. But that one day may never come in your life, as it never comes in the lives of most people, that one day. It's almost like death. A part of your identity is taken away. You feel crushed. But as you recover, you start discovering that you have just been prepared for a higher life. You have not been destroyed. You have just been reconfigured. And it pays results dividends over time. You'll be very, very grateful 10, 20 years down the line for the right decisions you make today. And for most people, that right decision has to be a no. It has to be, you see. It's something that's very mathematical. We are flowing in a stream. Right? It's a biological social stream. It's not the right stream. Therefore, what's the right thing to do? You have to swim against the current. You have to say no to the route the current has already charted for you. You'll have to be very, very negative. All right, positively negative. You'll discover how beautiful it is to not to be living in one of the regular settlements. It doesn't even cross our mind, right? It's not really compulsory to live in this apartment, this society, this community. It doesn't even cross our mind because everybody is doing that. But move out and you'll be thankful. I'm waiting for you to come to me that day. Not the day when you move out. You'll be cursing me that day. 5 years from that day, that's when you would be grateful. That's the day I'm waiting for. And are we saying you don't have to live? No, we are saying live rightly, live at the right place. Is that very unjust to ask?
No.
It doesn't cross our mind. And aren't these the very things that define our life? Where you live, where you work, with whom you live, for whom you work. And there are obvious better alternatives that remain wanting for want of courage. You don't have to settle down at the same old place. You don't have to settle down at all. Believe me. Here, as you sit, this thought might appear scary. I mean, I wouldn't have settled down even by 40. You don't need to settle down even at 80. And it's tremendous. It's far, far better than, a teenager asking me, but if I don't marry, what will happen to me in the old age when I'll be sick? One doesn't feel like living anymore on this planet after reading such things from teenagers. This is a teenager. Do you see the horror? The fellow is saying, what will happen to me in old age when I get sick if I do not settle down, or marry, or whatever. Why do you want a government job? It offers me pension. The bugger has not yet begun working, and he is visualizing the scenario post-retirement. You'll be very thankful if you do not get into this. In fact, you will wonder how you ever considered these things as an option in the first place. You'll be amazed at how lucrative a very perverted, distorted, unacceptable way of life can mysteriously appear. Perverted, distorted, when you look at it from a distance, but fairly acceptable when you are a participant. When you are a participant, you say, but this is the only way of life possible. When you rescue yourself away from it, it's then that you say, oh my God, how is it possible that once I was even considering that as an option? What evil had possessed me so completely? That I was even looking at it, even thinking of it. Today, I clearly see that it is obviously a damned option, completely unacceptable. You require courage and then patience. Patience to live with and bear the consequences of your courage. Else, courage can be like a flash in the pan. You display courage, and when the results fall upon you, you cave in. No, not that kind of courage. Courage that sustains. Silent courage. Day-to-day courage. Nobody would come and reward you or decorate you with a medal for it. It won't be obvious. Only you would know what you're going through. That's what is needed. Don't you see that what we take as normal is just a particular thing in time? Why do you have to take it as necessary or mandated? You don't even have to be spiritual to see that. Just look at history. Turn a few pages and you will find that there were so many things that were perfectly normal, rather compulsory at one particular time, and they appear laughable today. Is that not so? Yes. So then why do you have to take the mandates of this movement so seriously? Why do you have to do that? Tell me, please. Go back in time. Go away to other places, other continents, other cultures, other religions, countries. And it's both illuminating and amusing. What mankind has been finding important at different points in time. Is that not so?
Yes.
So there are certain things that this particular society, this culture, this time lays emphasis on. Why do you have to be a slave to that? Even if you remain obedient, time will anyway change its demands, right? Maybe not in our lifetime, maybe in another 60 years, 80 years, 100 years, if we survive climate change. So these are fickle things. Time bound. For the sake of what is time bound, why do we compromise on the timeless? Must we? But with such helplessness, we look at our condition as if there isn't a way out. You say, but what do I do? That's the way life is. No, that you always have an option. No? And the shining jewels of history are the ones who exercised their options, not the ones who just kept going with the flow. Who do you remember? All the unknown, faceless masses? Yes? You remember just a few people. And what do you remember them for? For their obedience? For their compliance? Yes?